we've been talking about Safe in London. It's the hashtag. A bit of a roundtable conversation. Now, 22% of women have said that they've received unsolicited nude photos in the last year alone. How does that work? Professor Clare McGlynn is a professor of law and specialises in the legal regulation of pornography, image-based sexual abuse, violence against women and gender equality. Professor, thank you so much for your time.
Yeah, hello.
What is cyber flashing?
So this is when someone, usually men, sends penis images to someone without their consent. So it can happen when someone's, say, just standing in the queue for coffee on public transport and they get a penis image sent to their phone and they didn't ask for it. So that's what we call cyber flashing.
In terms of today, can I take you slightly off piste? Because we have done a whole show effectively on safety of women, and Safe in London is the hashtag. And technology is your game, I'm guessing. And lots of people have mentioned is about their children knowing more than them about computers and putting some kind of governance on it for fear that porn, and how unrealistic that might be, acts as the child's guide into relationships.
That is true. That is a worry today. You know, some sex education effectively is coming from pornography, and the pornography that's easily and freely available online is not the sort of pornography that was around 20, 30 years ago. It's often quite brutal, quite violent, and often unlawful material, easily accessible at a couple of clicks.
And the idea in quite a lot of it, at first she didn't want to, and then you were able to convince her. And so many teachers have said they're having to deal with that. And in fact, by the time they get into the school and anything like a relationship class, they're having to kind of debunk things. They're having to declutter a polluted mind. Do you think we underestimate the challenge of that type of technology and how that impacts our child and how easily accessible it is?
I think we, especially older adults, are in real danger of underestimating the kind of control and what online activities and pornography online can tell us about. I mean, even just thinking about cyber flashing, some studies of young teenage girls in school say about 3/4 of them have been sent penis images without their consent. So it's something that these young girls are having to deal with on a daily basis.
Isn't that interesting that you say that, Professor? Because I focused on it almost from the other way, because friends of mine who are teachers are saying that young girls are being asked constantly, and barely a term goes by in a comprehensive where somebody hasn't been told, if you love me you would send me X, which is then shared and then reputationally causes all sorts of problems.
That's right. I mean, some of these boys are sending penis images in the hope of getting nudes back, and are often coercing the girls into trying to send on nude images, as if if you don't send me this, you obviously don't like me, and then threatening to share them once they have done.
Yes.
I think what's really important here is talking to boys and all young people about consent, about not sharing images without approval and agreement, and that's what we need to really focus on.
So in terms of the message, right, because clearly I've spent a whole day kind of highlighting challenges, and I've also tried to put some solutions in place. If you're a parent listening to this, what might your advice be?
Talking to your young people, children, and honestly, speaking as a parent of teenagers, it's easier the earlier you start it. Starting to try to talk about a 16-year-old boy about his pornies is probably not the easiest conversation, but starting much, much younger, and just having an open conversation with them about what they're seeing online, what they're doing online, so that when they do get older, they can make decisions that are respectful of others.
Please keep your phone on. You've been fabulous, and we'll talk again. I'd love to bear down on some of this stuff deeper with you. That's Professor Clare McGlynn there, as a professor of law and specialises in legal regulation, particularly in that aspect of cyber flashing and pornography. I'd like to take this opportunity to say I know that there are particular groups of people, particularly disabled, who may not have featured in our show today. There are aspects that we couldn't in the time take on board. I'm focused.